Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Daily V with Dr. Jack Bielitz. I'm Dr. Jack Bielitz, chiropractor in Omaha, Nebraska, and we are discussing how stress can affect health. In the last episode, we looked at examples of graphs of the function of the nervous systems and how debilitated they get from things such as physical stress, where like a car accident, falling out of a tree, and we saw some examples of a graph with which showed that. We also talked about chemical stress, which is not eating the right foods or maybe inhaling chemicals that are bad for you. And we also then talked about mental emotional stress, and we showed another graph on just how devastating that can be given the amount of stress a person has in their life from various things. Anyway, today we want to kind of expand on that a little bit and give you some real world ideas. We had a lot of feedback on that mental emotional aspect of it, and we kind of want to go into that a little more. So we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the patient that represents this graph right here. And you'll notice that the normal graph would have lines that look like this. All right, that is a person that has a very optimal type of graph. When the function goes haywire, it causes an abundance of nerve flow, and we get lines that are so bad you can't even graph them because they've gone off the chart, and that's what the black is. So one of the problems that this person has is the inability to fall asleep without medication for help. And I want to go over that a little bit with you because that is definitely something that affects a lot of people, and it kind of help to understand some of the things that you can do besides taking these drugs, which you can get very addicted to. So in this person's case, we see basically every single level affected in their nervous system. And we had mentioned that this person doesn't necessarily have any physical problems that they associate with the spine. They don't have a locked-in neck. They have, what they consider normal movement. And, if they move in the right way, they can cause kind of cracks and pops to go in their back. And they think that that's fairly normal and it feels good when they do it. And so they do it quite often. And they kind of go along life through that way. But what's basically happening is that the spinal cord has so much tension on it that it's causing the nerves that are coming out of the spine to get pulled onto the bone like that. Just when tension gets placed on there, it gets pulled onto the bone. And that's kind of what's happening here is they've lived through different stress events, and they've taken in all that, and all that energy is just sitting inside of them, and they're just so used to it they don't necessarily even feel how much tension they're under on a daily basis. Well, a couple things are happening there. First of all, they have a lot of muscle tension. And we see this very often in people that have gone through different periods of their life where they had a lot of stress. It just sits there, and they can go to a massage therapist or whatever, or even sometimes the hairdresser mentions, wow, you've got a lot of tension in their neck, and they just think about that as being normal. I mean, they can feel the tension, but they don't really know any different, and so to them, that's a pretty normal aspect of life. What's happening is because you've got all that physical tension on the spinal cord, the muscles alongside the spine go into spasm to protect that spinal cord. And they never really relax. And so for those type of people, massage feels really great for about an hour or two, and then the muscles go right back into spasm because, again, they're there to protect the body. And so sometimes they really appreciate a massage, and it's awesome, but other times they get very frustrated because the massage doesn't really give them any long-term benefits. So that is one aspect. And when you have all that tension all day long sitting in those muscles, when you go to try to sleep, it's really hard to make those muscles relax to the point where you can actually um, relax enough to get to a sleeping. The next thing is you want to think about your spinal cord as like that of a garden hose. Now, if you think about a garden hose, if you turn the water on full blast, your water at the end of that hose is going to come out in a nice, gentle flow. But if you step on that garden hose, that water starts coming out the end so hard that it can actually shoot the water across the yard. And it's the same amount of water, but the pressure behind the water is gotten so built up because of the tension that's being placed on that garden hose that the water literally will shoot across the yard. And I think about everybody can imagine that type of thing. And oversimplified, that's kind of what's going on inside your body. You have so much tension sitting on that spinal cord that the information flow up to the higher cortical centers of the brain is so overwhelming that when they go to try to relax and try to go to sleep, their brain literally just cannot relax. It can't shut down. They can't do anything about it. And so very often they eventually rely on prescription medication to create that relaxation in the brain. It forces their brain to shut down, which unfortunately can become very addictive. Then they're stuck with that type of medication the rest of their life. And, 5-6 years, well, you don't think about it. But how about 20-30 years later? How much medication are you going to need to take to get some sleep? Are you even going to be able to get to sleep, once your body gets used to that medication and no longer responds to it? So, if you are in that kind of situation where you're thinking about taking prescription drugs to relax, or maybe you already are, you should very strongly consider your age and how much longer you have left to live on this planet, in general, and then decide whether or not maybe you want to do something about that so that you don't need that prescription medication anymore. We use a very advanced type of chiropractic in this office that uses very light, gentle touches. There's no cracking, no popping, anything like that that's associated with it. But what we can do is we can get the tension in that spinal cord to start relaxing. And as that spinal cord starts to respond and relax, that stops that huge flow of nervous energy up to the brain, and the brain is able to start kind of relaxing on its own a little bit. And as we go through care, your body develops strategies so that it can take some of that stress that's sitting in there and cause it to relax. So this is a very, very helpful thing for a lot of people who don't really have any other or better options. And it's something that I love helping people with, because the more people that we can help eliminate the need for medication, the fewer the people that are going to be running around with the side effects of those medications in their body. It's something that I really love doing, is getting rid of those type of things from people's lives. So obviously, when we deal with this type of thing, it's a pretty complex matter here, and we have to be very meticulous as to how we're tracking the progress, and we're having the patient work closely with their medical doctor so that they don't just stop their medication, because that would be very inappropriate. This is something that they have to make that as a goal that they want to do, and then work with a number of different things at the same time in order to allow that to happen. But if you give it enough time and you put enough diligence into it, very often we can see that the people don't need those drugs to go to sleep anymore, and it's kind of a nice place to be. So again, just something that I really am passionate about, because those type of people often have a difficult time dealing with stress, and when stress builds up in their life, they lash out at the people they love, and not in a necessarily mean way, but it's the way it kind of comes out. And it's simply they can't control the way their brain is interpreting all the signals because there's so much tension on that nervous system. So one of the side effects, if you will, of this type of work is that your brain is able to function a lot more healthy, and you're able to not get so caught up in the moment when big stressful events happen. So anyway, wanted to kind of put that out there for people. If you have any questions, or if you're concerned that maybe this is something that you might want to tackle with, we do offer that graphing here to see if this is even a problem for you, because there are some people that can't fall asleep at night that don't have this problem. They don't know it, because they've never had the exam done, but they don't have it. Other people, we do graphs on them, and it's like, wow, no wonder you can't get to sleep, and no wonder you are so tense all the time and carry all that pressure and tension. So we use these graphs and we track the progress as we go through care, which is a very wonderful thing, so that the patient can see their progress, and they can feel the things that are happening, and they can watch them happen on the graphs themselves. So that right there is the end of another edition of the Daily V of Dr. Jack B. It's all been about stress, the last few topics. So I hope you've appreciated that. We'll get on to another topic next time and give you some other ideas. So I hope you have a very beautiful and healthy day. And if you have any questions, phone number is 402-333-4848. You can go to our website at livehealthyomaha.com, and there's a way to send us a message through there. Lots of ways to get a hold of us. Look for us on Facebook at Dr. Jack Bielitz, DC. Have a very beautiful day.